Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of Odyssey Book 5, and I got up to line 214. This section is rather difficult, especially towards the end. It's got very long, detailed description of Odysseus constructing this so-called raft, which is really more like a boat, and I'll do the best I can with the vocabulary there. So he begins here, so wily Odysseus then having replied, addressed her, Potnathea, O lady goddess. This is an old word. This actually occurs in Linear B. It's an interesting word, sort of lady or goddess. So lady goddess is generally the translation. Do not become angry with me in respect of this. This is from Koamai, uncontracted middle imperative. So do not be angry with me in respect of this. I myself also know all of these things very much. That Periphrone Penelopea, that wise Penelope, is archidnotere. A funny word. It can mean weak or feeble, of lesser account, perhaps that might be good here, is of lesser account, is less impressive, and then a comparative genitive than you. By the way, we get a hunica for hoti here, so after the oida. So I know that wise Penelope is less impressive than you in appearance and stature. Ace anta, literally in the face or before one, so perhaps at face value, so perhaps to look at. You could take it closely with the idesthai, which is really epexegetic, so it's to look at face to face. Or you could take this simply as epexegetic and take this as meaning at face value. For she is immortal, but you are immortal and ageless. Alpha privative there. Alakai hos, but even so, Ethelo, I wish and I desire, Pantahemata, well, each day, or all days, or perhaps all the time, each day, Oikadi el Themenai, this is an infinitive of course, to come home, and, so it's both to come home and to see the day of my return, the nostimon ema. Lovely expression. Edatis reisi theon eni oinopiponto. So if any of the gods might strike me, might hit me, or strike me on the wine dark sea, I will endure it, I will put up with it. Having a telepenthea, well, it's a thumos, which is telepenthea, so having a heart or soul, bearing great griefs, or patient in woe. It's only here in Homer, this word, in my breast. For already now I have suffered many things, and I have laboured muchly, this is an adverb here, on the waves and in battle, in the war. We might say on the waves and in battle. Metakai todi toisi genesto, so let this be, well, it's a bit like pros with the dative, in addition to these things. So let this be an addition to these things. And thus he spoke, and the sun accordingly set from Juno, and the epi is a preverb with aelthem, and darkness, this is nominative, darkness descended. Elthontes, and accordingly, or then we could just say then, to, dual, even though we've got plural we've got plural participles here. So the two of them then, having gone into the recess, this is the back end, so the recess, this is a genitive, of the hollow cave, they took their pleasure, this is a dual here I think, they took their pleasure in love, remaining beside one another. Amos, when, so but when Arigenea, early born, rosy-fingered dawn appeared, very stock phrase in Homer, forthwith he, Odysseus, henut from henumi to put on, so he put on a cloak and tunic. So he on the one hand did that, but she, the nymph, Henute, she put on a great pharos, a great robe. Gouphion, it's a funny word, it's only here and once in the Iliad and otherwise rare. It means something like silvery white robe, which was thin and carrion, beautiful. So these are neuter, going with the pharos, which is neuter. And she cast, or which she put, a zone, a belt. Peri goes with the ixui. Funny word here, it's ixus, it means the waist, it's only here in Homer. So she put, by the way, there's a lot of very rare words in this whole section. Words that only occur in the Odyssey once, or perhaps twice, and words that appear nowhere else. So ixus is only here in Homer, meaning the waist. So she cast a belt around her waist. She put a belt around her waist, one which was beautiful and golden, and she understands she put a kalyptrain. This is a veil, thing which covers you, covers your face, so a veil, from on top on her head, so we'd say atop her head, on top of her head. And at that time she devised Pompane an escort for great-hearted Odysseus, and she gave to him a megan pelicun. Pelicus is an axe, so a great axe, harmenon, this is from Armenon from Ararisco, it's literally fitted into his hands. So in other words, which fitted nicely in his hands, we might say. And it was chalcyon, made of bronze. Akakmenon, again a funny word here, it means something like sharp-edged, and amphoterothen from on both sides. It looks like a participle of some sort, a passive participle possibly. It's formed as if from some lost verb acco, with a kappa. It doesn't occur, but we do get the word akai, meaning, and I think there's akoke as well, meaning a sharp point. So there must have been some old ancient verb that, and this has just become a fossilized form that survived of it. So sharpened from both sides. In it, this has to refer back to the Pelicus, I think. So in it was a very beautiful steleon. Now this is a word meaning a handle. It only occurs here in all Greek. And it's eleion, made of olive wood. And it was well, or perhaps well fastened. Again, the ara from Ararisco. So well fastened. So it's an axe, got this beautiful handle. It's made of olive wood, and it's well attached, securely fastened. And then she gave him, so perhaps almost in addition, and afterwards she gave him a skepanon. This is an adze, an A-D-Z-E. It's a rare word. It does occur apparently in the Septuagint as well, but it's not terribly common. It's a little bit, in shape, it's a little bit like a hoe. It's used for cutting wood, or for hewing wood. And it's eruxuon, well polished. So she gave to him a well polished adze. You can have a look at it online as to what an adze looks like. And she led the way. Literally, she made a beginning of the path. So she led the way to the Escartia, to the extreme part of the island, Hothi, where Macrodendria, where large trees had grown. This is a pluperfect without augment from Fuo. Had grown, I think, is going to be in the sense that they had since died and fallen over, because later on we hear that they're already dried up. So she led the way along the path to the extreme part of the island where large trees had grown. A claithrae is an alder tree, and agaros is the poplar, I think from memory, and alate is a fir tree. So where there was a fir tree, uranomekes, as high as heaven. So it's that make a root, so of the height of heaven, so as high as heaven. It's a fairly rare word. Awa, dried, and palai, so long ago dried. In other words, these must have fallen over and just lay there and have dried out in time. Pericala, something like well seasoned. Again, this word is only in the Odyssey. Pericala, well seasoned, which lightly would sail for him, literally. So, which would sail easily or lightly for him. But when, in fact, she had shown him where the large trees had grown, she, the Kalypso, divine among goddesses, on the one hand, she went back to her house, but he, Tamneto, imperfect from tamno is really temno in later Greek. So he began, and middle, so he began to cut for himself the dura, the timbers. And swiftly the work, Anuto, this is from Anuo, was completed for him. So swiftly the work was completed for him. Ekosi de ekbele panta. So 20, understand, trees fell in all. So I should say he felled 20 trees in all. I think he's the subject of this. Pelekaisen dara kalko. This is from pelekao, to lop or hew. You can see the root of it from pelekus, the axe. And this is only here in Homer. So accordingly he felled them with his bronze, that is with his bronze axe. Xese, epistamenos, this is an adverb here formed from the verb. So cunningly or knowingly he polished, or he smoothed them, I think would be better for that. Cunningly or knowingly he smoothed them, and this is an expression from carpentry. He made them straight, epistathmon, to the carpenter's line. Tofra de enenke tetra Kalypso diathiaon. It's something like perhaps meanwhile, Kalypso, divine among the goddesses. This is from Pharaoh. She brought tetra. This is a very rare word. It's only here in Homer. Sometimes translated as augers, A-U-G-E-R. They're like drills. There's a technical word which I hadn't heard before till I looked it up, a thing called a gimlet. It looks a little bit like a corkscrew shape affair, and it's used for drilling holes in wood. So she brought them that, and tetrainen from tetrino, which is to drill or bore a hole. So he accordingly drilled all of them and fitted them to one another. These are the pieces of wood. And now the main verb here is arasso, which is to strike. So perhaps he hammered them. Gomphos is a peg, so he hammered them together with pegs, and indeed also with, well, fastenings in a, there's a technical term here, a mortise, so with mortises. Hoson tis de edaphos naos tornosatai aner fortitos euros, euedos tektosonaon. A lot of difficult words in here. So to the extent that, or as wide as some man, knowing well, with a good knowledge of carpentry, so as wide as, or as far as a man well skilled in carpentry. The main verb here is this one, means to marks out the ediphos, this is the floor, so the base, of a ship, which is a broad ship, and it's fortidos, it's a cargo or freight ship. You can see the root for from Pharaoh here. So as to the extent that a man who knows well carpentry would mark out the base of a broad freight ship, to such an extent Odysseus made, and the ep goes with the toson, so to such an extent Odysseus made this broad, well, I'm almost loath now to call it a raft, because it's really a little boat, but I'll continue using raft here. Ikriastesas, he set up the deck beams, fitting them with close set ribs. These are the wooden ribs of the base of the boat, I assume. This word stimnesin only here in all Greek. Poio, sort of funny enjambment here. He continued to make them, but he finished it, understood, with long. Now again, a difficult word here. You can say long planks of wood. The word only occurs here in all Greek, sometimes translated as gunwales. These apparently are pieces of wood along the edge of the sides of the boat, which presumably hold all the various pieces together. And he placed in it a histon, a mast, and an epikrion. This is a yardarm fitted to it. Prostarapedalia, and he made, in addition, I think it's adverbial here, he made a pedalion, this is a rudder, so that he might direct it. It's a very difficult passage, this one. Much written on this. You need to see the commentaries on this. This is from Frasso. He fenced it in completely, so all the way through. Ripesin oi suinasin. I'd really take these two words together here. Osuinos is ossia, or wickerwork made with willow, and this is from rips. These go together. Rips is wickerwork. So I could translate it here. He fenced in the whole of it with with wicker work. Then MN to be an ala, a defense from the wave. Polynder, and literally he poured, or he bestrew much hulane, perhaps brushwood, over top for the ep. So he poured, or he laid down much hulane, I'm going to take here as brushwood, over top. Tophra, I think something like meanwhile. Kalypso, divine among the goddesses, brought Faria robes to make into sails, and he worked well also with these. So he devised well, so he cleverly constructed also these. En huperas te calus te podas te endias en autained. Some technical words here. So in it, that is on this raft or this boat, he tied in, so perhaps made fast, and we get lots of repetitions of en here. So in it, and in it repeated, he made fast huperas. These are upper ropes, or sometimes called braces. These were attached to the end of the yard arms, by means of which the sails were moved fore and aft in accordance with the wind. So he did that. And calus, these are halyards or reefing ropes attached to the sail. Kalos is the nominative of this one. This is not kalos, beautiful. This is a different word. It's from kalos. So this is the accusative. And podas, these are the so-called sheets of the sails. These are the two lower corners of the sails. So just to do that bit again, so he tied in it the braces and the halyards and the sheets, as they're called. That's what he did. And with, now interesting, he uses this word here with levers, literally. Accordingly, katerua, he dragged it, that's the skedia, into the divine salt sea. So that is the end of that section of Book 5.